So Solo: A Star Wars Story is finally out, and today I'm reviewing it for Movie Review Wednesday. I saw it 2 days ago, and I'm ready to give it a fair and honest review. So Solo is a spin-off movie in the Star Wars franchise, and it follows, well, you guessed it, Han Solo. We learn his origin story and basically what he had been up to before we first met him in the cantina on Tatooine in A New Hope. Now, I really enjoyed this movie in many different ways, and the first is the fact that I feel like we really got a good origin story for Han Solo. I think everything I wanted to learn in this movie, I learned. Now, I may be different from other big-time Star Wars fans, but when I had a checklist in my head of what I wanted to learn from the story, I wanted to learn really who Han was before we met him, how he met Chewie, how he got into possession of the Millennium Falcon, and his beginning encounters with Lando Calrissian, because in the when they were on Cloud City and in Return of the Jedi, we had heard that they have had history together. They've known each other. So I kind of wanted to see, where they had been. And I feel like this movie really did a good job at hitting every one of those points. Now, for a more diehard fan, which I am not, there may be some points that weren't hit that maybe wanted to get hit. But for me, I felt satisfied. Now, I also really liked the cast of this movie. I think Donald Glover was a great Lando. I wouldn't say he's perfect because it's really hard to, be someone's earlier years, but I'd say he did a phenomenal job. Donald Glover is just such a talented person in general. And I don't really see how this cast could have been really any different. Now, it's very, very hard to make a cast of beloved characters as their younger selves. It's very, very difficult. And I think they were able to pull it off to the best of their ability. I think Han was portrayed really well. I think Lando was portrayed great. Obviously, Chewbacca's Chewbacca. And I think that those are really the only ones that you really needed to hit besides the other characters we hadn't met before. But I think they did a really, really good job. Now, for some of the stuff that I thought was really good about the movie, I liked how the fate of the galaxy wasn't dependent on the events of this movie. You go into any of the Star Wars movies and the fate of the galaxy is at stake every time. And I understand, because that's the main plot of Star Wars. You're trying to save the galaxy. But I liked how, just for a little spin-off movie, something not too big, not like a regular Star Wars movie. It's just a spin-off. I like how they kind of went away from that and just kind of had a little backstory. And it was a really good heist movie in the Star Wars universe, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie, was that it wasn't some big, the universe is dependent, like the regular Star Wars movies, which, don't get me wrong, I love the regular Star Wars movies, but that type of plot has its place in those movies, not in some random spin-off. And I really like the direction they took. I like how we first found Han, just as a kid, not like a kid, but like a teenager, young adult. And the struggles he was going through to get off of the planet that he was living on. How he joined the Empire for a time. I didn't even know that. How he joined the Empire for a few years. And how he tried to be a pilot, and he couldn't hold his tongue, so he got kicked out of flight school and stuff like that. I found that really interesting. And I also found really interesting how then we learned how he got into the business of being a looter, a thief, heister, whatever you want to call it. And we learned how he kind of became the person that he became when we first met him in A New Hope. We've learned all of that in this movie, and I think it was absolutely fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Going into it, I had some low expectations because of all the reviews that I had been hearing. So I went in with low expectations, but my expectations were met, if not more. I really enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend people go in and watch it if they haven't already. But now some of the bads. I do think it drags out a little bit in the middle. The movie is a bit long. And I think, the villain of this movie he's a good villain, but we only see him like 3 or 4 times in the whole movie. So like you have to just assume that you know that he's always looming, you know, he's always there, and there's stakes with this person. But pretty forgettable, honestly. I feel like that's one of the most forgettable parts of the movie. Now you obviously he's got to be there to be the villain, but I think the twist at the end with his girlfriend Kira going off and leaving him and going with Darth Maul, like, first off, that was wild. When I saw Darth Maul, I was like, what? But that's just, I just didn't like that. I just really did. Now, I was thinking during the whole movie, okay, well, if they're in love with each other, where does Leia come into the picture? And then obviously at the end that was answered, where she left and Han was on his own. So that was one of the parts that I didn't really like that much. I thought, you know, just kind of have the villain die, not have Kira go along and end up being, I wouldn't say the villain, but she went on and continued the work of the bad guy. And I didn't really like that twist, how she was working with him. I understand that she was like a servant. I don't really know. I still am kind of fuzzy about that, but I don't really like how that worked. That was one of the things that I disliked the most about the movie. And another thing that one thing I did like was how you had the whole story of the Kessel Run. That's one of the main things he talks about when he first introduces the Millennium Falcon to like Luke and Obi. Like, he made the Kessel Run in like less than 12 parsecs, and like in the movie, that's what's happening. Like, that story is in the movie, which is another thing I actually liked. I thought that was I thought that was really interesting. But for the bad, I really didn't like that twist with the characters at the end. I didn't like how Kira was part of the enemy the whole time, because, you know, you saw her as like, oh, Han's love interest and this and that, and then in the end she just turns out to be part of the bad guys, and I really didn't like that. I also didn't like how they did the twist at the end where like the pirates that they were first against on like the train scene turned out to be the good guys. I hate how they flip stuff like that. I like more consistency with stuff like that, but you know what? I understand why they did it for the movie, because you find out that they're on the wrong side. The heist people and Han and Chewie, they're all on the wrong side, and they decide to help the other pirates, which in turn starts the rebellion. It all works together, so I understand how it works. I just wasn't a fan of it. But that's pretty much all I really got to say about it. My final thoughts, I really enjoyed it. I give it a 7.5 out of 10 on my scale. I would highly recommend you go watch it in the theaters if you have not already. Now, I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie. It is nowhere near a perfect movie. It's not the best Star Wars movie I've ever seen in my life. But if you want to go watch a good heist movie in the Star Wars universe with some nice Easter eggs to Star Wars and to Han, learning Han's backstory, this is a great movie for you. But again, not a perfect movie, not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's a solid movie. So, you know, I would go see it if you haven't already. But that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Solo, a Star Wars story. Have you seen it already? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments below. I want to start a conversation with you. But that's all I really got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow for another video. Again, in the comments down below, let me know what you thought of Solo, a Star Wars story. That's it, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.